a disturbing discussion among two women at a local grocery store who were shopping for organic baubles and were concerned about the disappearance of their cousin Gladys, who was one of the young ladies in photos on the album cover of a recently popular musical group. Gladys had been missing for several days, and they were concerned as one would expect. Detective Organ volunteered his services and started collecting all the information the women could find, including copies of apparent kidnapping letters and the odd fact there was once a fan club of sorts based in New Zealand that focused on the collection of young ladies who appeared on the album cover. This fan club having rather suddenly disappeared and left no forwarding address or other contact information. Detective Organ was surprised there was a fan club like this at one time, and was perhaps all the more surprised it had vanished like the two women's cousin, whose name he learned was Gladys Kite. Like the two women, Detective Organ was shopping for organic baubles, which in a sense made the mystery of the missing kite all the more mysterious. Was an international crime ring responsible for the disappearance of Gladys Kite and the other young ladies? Were there additional clues, such as, for example, various knickknacks left at the apparent crime scene, including but not limited to various small containers used to store and carry organic baubles? Why this album? And why these young ladies? What was the connection? And if there was a connection, then why was it? What we know today is there are beliefs, facts, and variations of facts and beliefs, where the key observation is that truth often is a combination of unprovable belief and indisputable fact, with a distinguishing characteristic in a common sense being that everybody knows, but nobody admits officially. Tito Remote and his Cuban swing band, featuring Belinda Bourgeoisie, were practicing for their upcoming performance at the Blue Ballroom, located in downtown, wherever it was. Wherever it was? Yes, downtown in space-time is not always where you think it is, which certainly was the case with the Blue Ballroom when Tito Remote and his Cuban swing band featuring Melinda Bourgeoisie were in downtown or wherever that was. Tito Remote and his musical group had recorded many songs and were quite popular, but not nearly so popular as the cover of their latest song, I'm in the Mood for You, which featured an attractive group of young women and nearly immediately became a hit in New Zealand and some of the remote desert areas of Australia. Was this associated in some way with the mystery of the missing kite and her friends, who also appeared to be missing around the same time? What did this have to do with the Blue Ballroom? Who was Melinda Bourgeoisie? And was she the reported lover of Frog the musician in the 13th dimension, where Homunculus, the Overlord, was considering the possibility of helping the aliens from outer space locate their missing mirror matter popcorn? Now that the novices were becoming conversant and adept at catching and then writing time threads, where were they going and why were they going there? What was so fascinating about the Blue Ballroom? And what role did Tito Remote play in the grand scheme of everything? Did Ockley Knockley hold the key to the grand scheme of everything? What was the thing about Gladys Kite that made her so important? Perhaps most importantly, where was this grocery store that displayed and sold organic baubles? Finding organic baubles in a grocery store was not so unusual as one might imagine, since there were many types and variations of organic baubles. Some were the size of pomegranate seeds and were very sweet, while others grown in tropical regions were like avocados. But the most valuable and desired organic baubles were the ones that adapted to growing on asteroids, where they developed hard outer protective shells to protect them from cosmic rays, violent space weather, and general handling. It was these organic baubles that were the most valuable and were highly prized due to their life-enhancing properties. mining these organic baubles was very difficult work and was done only in certain regions of space-time by quartz. Having tough protective outer skin allowed the bauble itself to develop certain botanical and chemical properties that made it unique and very expensive, something the company realized millennia ago and consequently decided to dominate the organic bauble business. One of the more troublesome aspects of these organic baubles occurred when their outer protective skin or shell was touched, which led to an instant release of electromagnetic energy, a small explosion, and a quite unpleasant smell. For this reason, it soon was discovered that quartz were perfect for mining these organic baubles, since among other characteristics, quartz were not affected by electromagnetic pulses and unpleasant smells, and like Frog the Munificent and his species, could jump instantly to a different dimension to avoid annoyances like the explosions, which often occurred in shadow vehicles, where the shadows were having bomb distilling parties and seeking to discover and document hitherto undiscovered and undocumented petroleum distillate in what was one of the most obsessive, compulsive, and quite pointless endeavors, which even though they knew it was truly pointless, they continued to pursue their quest to discover and document every petroleum distillate, a skill which quite often led to their being called as expert witnesses in lawsuits where someone or something was harmed or injured by an unusual petroleum distillate, or at least claimed to be.
Marvelously marvelous, wonderfully wonderful science fiction, theater,